Three, two, one. We are live, everybody.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
And here we is. We are back and live. We may have other guests joining us today, but it's ad hoc, so everything's ad hoc, so you never know.
Yeah.
So, but today, the crazy uncle isn't with us, so it'll just be
No,
us.
he's not. He's helping.
He's helping. He's running around the neighborhood with no pants, so we got that going for us. But today we're gonna.
It's too bad. He wanted to be here.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
I'm sure. So. So next week or this week, we're talking about Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, the New World Order, and our people's sheep. So this is going to be very interesting.
Yes.
So,
and maybe a bit dangerous for people who are afraid of talking loudly. You know.
Well, let's find out. The worst that can happen is the Illuminati comes to your house and takes you away. We never see you again. There you go.
You never know. But that's the worst thing.
That's the worst thing. But the best thing is it'll be on YouTube. So it'll be there forever. So they can't really take it down. So there you go.
Yeah.
So what's our thoughts on the New World Order and the Illuminati and people? Well, we know people are sheep. We call them ostriches, right? They stick their head in the sand. They don't want to know anything. They don't want to be bothered. They could care less about what's going on politically or globally. But so tell us about Klaus and the economic reform and all the other great stuff.
You know, I've been interested in this organization for a long time.
Okay.
You know, as being interested in general in politics, you have to be interested in. They are gathering in Davos for 5 days.
Right.
They have so-called open meetings, so you and I can go and.
I've been to Davos. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, we have a secret handshake, and you go into the secret meetings where we talk about destroying the world. But other than that, it's a fun place. Everybody talks about climate change and flies there on their private jet.
Yeah. And now, it started. The whole thing started in 37, I think.
So there's two.
It was founded in 1971.
Right, but if you're going to look, if you're going to go to the bigger picture, if you're looking like the European Union, which is like a spin, and this spun off, the European Union was started by a Nazi in 1957. That whole premise, and then the World Economic Forum came in. Because I think back then all the people with power needed to figure out how to keep their power.
Yeah, and in the beginning, in the World Economic Forum, they had another name because there were no space for Americans.
Really?
Because the organization was only for Europeans, and they were against Americans.
Most people are.
As I read it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with the World Economic Forum, now it's turned into what people know as Davos.
Yeah.
Right. It's 5 days. Bloomberg covers it. Everybody covers it. They're all there. They talk to leaders. Leaders just talk a bunch of crap. They're not doing anything. I mean, they're doing stuff to better themselves. But they all, like we said earlier, they all talk about, we want to save the planet. We want to do this. But, they all fly in their private jets. They all do this, and they're really not saving anything. I think they're just trying to figure out, A, how to keep the people in line, and B, how to continue, for lack of a better term, kind of run the world so the little people can't get ahead. Now, if you come up with a product or idea and you make $1 trillion, then of course you get invited to the World Economic Conference.
Well, there's about 3,000 people in the world who is invited.
Right.
And most of them shows up. I read there were only about 1,000 jets now. So
Right.
the others are probably just hitchhiking, or I don't know. But
Rather they
uh,
just they're sharing a jet together. They're like, come on, we'll just jump on a
yeah,
jet together. We'll save some gas.
but we have a mutual friend who Mr. Elon Musk.
Yes.
He was not invited this year.
Okay.
He says he was invited. But the organization is saying no, he was not invited. The last
Wow.
time he was there was in 15 or something.
That's good. You don't want to have them come
He
too often.
Yeah, but they have something about him, because this is things I've just heard, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but
Okay.
so much of the conspiracy theories
Hmm.
are true.
I was just going to say, so, if you believe in the one world order and the new world order, blah, 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 that's what these guys are doing, right? Then that ties to, that ties to the lizard people, and that ties to
Yeah,
UFOs, and that ties to the Illuminati. And it goes down this big rabbit hole of, so what do they really do at Davos other than, drink little kids' blood and sacrifice humans? And when I was there, other than the orgies, not much else. So it was
oh,
fine. So
okay,
yeah, it was very
okay.
nice. It was very good.
Yeah,
That's why for 10,000 years old, I look really good. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it's one of those things where the average person has no idea what Davos is. I mean, granted, you see it in
yeah,
the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, the Economist. You see
yeah,
little blurbs or you watch Bloomberg. But the average citizen has no idea that the most powerful people in the world get together once a year and really
yeah,
just kind of figure out what they're going to do.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's very interesting that people don't even know what Davos is.
Yeah, wow, that's
That goes to your
people
thing
are
that
not.
people are ostriches. Yeah.
They
Well,
don't know.
they don't know conspiracy theory. People know because they think they're taking over the world, like the Burgermeisters
Yeah,
and the Illuminati and all this other crap.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
most people, if you say, "Do you know what Davos is?" They're like, "Kinda." Do you know who goes there?
yeah,
Maybe. Do you know where it is? Sort of. But if you go to Davos, their security is like better than the White House. I mean,
yeah,
it's like there's
yeah,
57 checkpoints just to get to like the main checkpoint. And then when you
yeah,
get there, everyone has a tag. And it's a very interesting meeting place. But for the average
yeah.
citizen, because you can't go in there and Bloomberg can't go in with their television cameras, right? They have
No, no,
closed door
no.
meetings. They have this, and then they have a little studio outside where they'll grab Jamie Dimon or whoever and they'll go, tell us what's going on. What did you discuss? What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, 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 yeah,
And they say what they talking head. They say what the public wants to hear, and everything is great. Don't worry about it. Next year we're taking over the world, and that's it.
yeah.
So it's a very interesting group, and you can join the World Economic Forum. I mean, I have an invitation to join, and you pay like $5,000 or $6,000, and you can join and go and do and be part of it. So yeah, you can join, but it's sort of like, all right, but what am I going to do with that after I join? I think that's what
Uh,
people don't understand.
I read the homepage, and it's much more. It costs much more than you're saying,
Well,
according
there's
to.
right. There's different levels. You can join for like 100 grand. You can
Yeah,
join for 10
yeah,
for
yeah.
different levels that you want to be or what you get
But
invited to join.
and that maybe that's why they have 500 different sessions, because if you don't have the level, you can't.
Correct. You can't go to the big thing.
Yeah,
Like if I want to go to the big thing, I think you pay 100 grand or a million or whatever it is, and then I
yeah,
can
yeah,
go to the main Davos.
yeah,
I'm like, okay, what am I going to do at the main Davos? I'm going to hear how you're going to take over the world and hear a bunch of people basically just circle jerk each other. I'm like, I can't be
Well, Schwab has the same title as you, so maybe you have something in common. I don't
taking
know.
over the world. Yes, I mean, like we do. We listen. We do
No,
have
no,
space lasers. We have the space
he
lasers, so we take over the world. So that's true.
he is a doctor in economics. I found out, but the big question is he's never done anything for himself. He just started this back in 57.
Right.
Where did he come from? Why? Where did he
He was a
have
Nazi.
his mind?
He's a Nazi. Oh, no, you don't know his history? He was part of the Nazi Party. He was part of Hitler's inner circle. And this is his, this EU, this all started out of that back in from Hitler. This is all part of Nazi Germany's thing. I mean, now it's not. Now it's in something else. But he's the one who started all that. He was part of the Nazi Party.
If you Google his father,
Mm-hmm.
who had the age to really be in the Nazi Party,
Right.
this Google is empty.
Oh yeah, I mean you can't say we're going to help the planet. And my background is I killed 6 million people. I mean, it's kind of you gotta can't do that. So it's a little different. The problem is today is, and we talked about this before, people don't know history, so they don't know where anything comes from. So for them, it's sort of like, oh, Davos, the richest people in the world go. It's more to it, right? And when you see who goes there, whether it's head of a country, head of a company, or people you've never heard of, the people you must fear the most are the people you've never heard of. Because the people you never heard of, and I use this in business a lot, I like to be the Wizard of Oz. When we do a deal, I don't need any limelight. I don't need this. I like to be the guy behind the curtain because I can still go to dinner in public. If everyone knows who you are, you can't have dinner in public. So if I'm going to Davos, first of all, I'm never going to tell anybody. Second of all, I want to be one of the guys that's behind the curtain because I can have more power and pull more strings behind the curtain than I can if I'm getting interviewed by Bloomberg. Because that means nothing. I'm a figurehead. Good, you're a figurehead.
But of course, if you are a member of such an organization, you can't say much. You're.
You know what's really funny? Even if you say something, no one's going to believe it anyway. Like I could say to you right now, I've gone to every top secret Davos meeting for the last 10 years. And I could tell you everything that was said. And people would be like, he's never been. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. That's the best part about people being ostriches and stupid. You can tell them the truth, which I love doing, and they still won't believe you. And to me, it's perfect. So,
but it's one thing. I because I've been investigating a bit about this economic forum, and we've been talking about this before, or at least we have.
Right.
In the founding of when this Schwab opened this in 57. And it says in the top level of what they are for. They are for goodness and for everything, of course. But come on, but they are for public-private corporations, and foremost. Political, business, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas.
Correct.
And that's it. They have told them what they want.
Here's what's funny, and here's what people don't realize: the world and all these borders and all the governments and everything is nothing more. You remember Risk when we played Risk as a kid? Back in the day, there was a game called Risk. This is nothing more than a board game.
No.
Because what they don't understand is, as much as the United States is going to tack on tariffs to this, or China's going to do this, or Russia's doing that, if you're going to hurt them economically, and I'm not talking about the people you know, I'm talking about the people you've never heard of that are the puppet masters. They're not going to let it go. So, when you go to Davos, or when, Putin does something that's not going to go over well, things have a tendency to change. People have accidents, people have this. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah,
the Iranian president helicopter crashed. Okay, I'm sure he pissed
yeah,
off somebody, but
yeah,
that's what they don't understand. The game that is played on a global level is beyond comprehension for most normal person. It's also probably beyond
yeah,
comprehension for most of the people that go to Davos. Because the people that go to Davos, they want to be seen and they want to think they're making some sort of a dent. It's the meetings behind the meeting behind the meeting that you
of
never
course.
hear of, that they're never going to talk about. Yeah.
And that's why I was thinking, okay, 500 sessions. Not all of the people are going to 500 session in 5 days.
Yeah. I mean, you go to the
It's
big
obvious,
meeting. Yeah.
So
So,
they have to have levels.
yeah.
It's yeah,
It's a secret. Let's put listen for all practical purposes, it's a secret society because most people can't go,
yeah,
right? 2,000, 3,000 people, so it's a secret society, and they talk about
yeah,
economic and they talk about this, but they also talk about other things that you will never know
yeah,
about because you're
yeah.
a
Of
not
course,
privy and b you're not in that group, and the
no,
public, the 8 billion people on the planet, they don't care. And the reason they don't care, as long as you keep your people fat and happy, and we've talked about this before, right? If you
yeah,
keep your people fed, electric, their cars, and they can go do stuff, they don't
yeah,
care. Where you have anarchy is when your people start going without food, without electric, without comfort, or you do stupid things. Then all of a
yeah,
sudden, you start getting like we're getting over here where people are like, oh, the election's fixed and that's that and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to,
yeah, yeah,
then you
yeah,
start getting into this. These are stupid people. And that's a problem because now you have a bigger risk of something happening. And that's what people don't understand. So if you're
yeah,
running the world, I would be like, listen, you need to keep everybody fat and happy because
yeah,
once somebody's not fat and happy and they get disgruntled and they start peeling back the onion and they could be considered a crazy person, a conspirator, or whatever, at
yeah,
some
yeah,
point they discover the truth. And if enough people believe it, whether it's true or not,
yeah,
like the election didn't happen or whatever crap we
yeah,
had
yeah,
here,
yeah.
then all of a
Exactly.
sudden you get a bunch of crazy people. And then what happens? Then you have revolution. Then you have civil
Yeah,
war. Then you have
yeah,
civil unrest. And
yeah,
governments aren't in control the way they used to be in, they say, like the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and even the 70s, where you live like, listen, you're a patriot, you did this, you did that, yada, yada, yada. Now
yeah,
people are like, screw you. What have you ever done for me? And that's
yeah.
a bad place for a country or a government or people of power to be in
Mm.
when you're subjects. Let's just be honest. When you're not your citizens, but your subjects, because that's what we all are. When your
Yeah, yeah,
subjects
yeah,
are
yeah,
like, screw you. Because
yeah,
then what do? Now with technology, they go to TikTok, they go to Instagram, they go to YouTube, they go
yeah,
whatever. And they write a book, all of a sudden now they have outlets. And people with these outlets start going, well, maybe that's true. And then you
yeah,
start getting into, Q and quantum and all this other crap. So it
yeah,
becomes a hard line to say, here's what's true and here's what's not.
yeah.
But people are so gullible now and people don't care now. They all want to grasp the something.
Yeah, but they don't want to know. A
I
lot
think
of
some
them.
do.
Yeah, but it's kind of very safe not knowing.
Yes.
To keep with the crowd.
Yep.
You know, walk after the guy in front of you.
Yep.
Then you're kind of safe.
Yeah, but see, that's a bad thing, though. And, what's bad about that is you can just read a history book, which most people don't. You can look at the
Yeah,
1930 Germany. Like, let's all
yeah,
follow the guy with the
yeah,
mustache. Okay. And then all of a sudden it
yeah,
was like they woke up one day and it was too late.
yeah,
Same thing, right? You can only be a sheep or an ostrich so long, where then all of a sudden you have to pick a side. You can't
yeah,
just be, it's all, no, it's not all good. It's not, it's like you can't follow the crowd. I mean, I guess you can, and you can't be an ostrich, but then you can't complain that something's wrong if you don't do something, whether it's protesting or voting, something. And people don't do that. I think they just want to be left alone in their little world and they don't
yeah,
care. Like I said, as
yeah,
long as they get their food and water and shelter,
yeah.
they're happy.
I was reading the other day. I'm reading a lot of old Roman, uh, old stuff.
Right.
Because mainly for I think I'm amazed how clever they were, how much brain they had these days. I think they were much more independent, and
Mm-hmm.
they could say what they really wanted. Like this guy who is referring, I don't remember his name. I should. I have it somewhere, but give the people bread and circus.
Right.
And bread and circus were given in the old Rome.
Mm-hmm. Because you keep people fat and happy.
Yeah, but it's true. It was given. They set up when there was something going on, something dodgy,
Right.
and then they gave bread, cakes,
Mm-hmm.
on the squares outside,
Yeah.
where they were protesting and all these things. And then they came with circus. We know that the circuses are old, so they were entertaining people,
Correct.
and they
Because
did. They
what you
did.
right, because remember, it's the old magic trick. Don't look at what's in this hand. Only watch what's in this hand. Like this is the hand I want you to watch, not
Yeah,
this hand,
yeah,
right? And that's
yeah,
what they're
yeah,
doing. And so
yeah.
if I can entertain you and feed you, it's like going to see
Ah,
David Copperfield in Vegas, right? It's like don't look at what's behind the curtain, only look at the girl in the box.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So the government's gotten away from that. They don't understand how to do it anymore. So now the governments are like children and they say this is happening and people are like nobody cares. It's like will it affect my life? Everything affects everybody's life, but they don't care. So Davos, for all it's good or bad, is really not doing anything because the governments are kind of like run by children now. Like our Congress and our Senate are run by 5-year-olds. Our this
but
election in November is literally a joke.
this year the second in command in China was there,
Mhm. He's always someone
and
from China's always there.
yeah. But this was maybe the most powerful after
Gee,
yeah,
yeah,
and I'm just thinking that I would like to be a fly on the wall in there,
Mhm.
just to listen to what they say. And what's wrong with people who don't want to know?
A lot. You can't live on this planet and complain about anything if you don't want to know.
Yeah,
And that's the difference. Like if I think something's wrong, then I want to know why. I want to read about it. I
of
want to understand
course.
it. But people don't. Like I said, people are they get up every day, they go do
Yeah,
their little worker drone thing or whatever they do. They're, however they make their money, they do whatever they're going to do, and then they do whatever. Okay. But they don't worry. They're like, oh, we're good. We're good. So when things aren't good, they're like, well, how did this happen? I don't know. It's been in the newspaper. It's discussed at Davos. Like there's
yeah,
this
yeah.
thing. And what's happening is now things are getting worse, not better. At some
No,
point, Davos or the governments or whoever's running the planet, like the lizard people, the Illuminati, whatever you want to go with, are going to have to come up with a plan. And the plan is either going to have to be you need another world war to bring
yeah.
the economy back in line like they did in World War II.
A
You're going to
new
need it
reset.
right, your new reset, or you need an alien invasion, which a
Yeah,
lot of people are saying that the governments are working on because, and there's just going to be the aliens are just going to be human beings in spaceships. Okay, you need something then to bring everyone
yeah,
together. The problem is we are so divided, not just as a world, but as a
yeah,
community
yeah,
that nothing is going to bring you together unless it's a catastrophe. And if you don't have
yeah,
a catastrophe, whether it's, like I said, an alien invasion,
yeah,
a world
yeah,
war, a nuclear war, whatever it is, then
Yeah.
as people get more disenchanted and more disenchanted, you can't put down 8 billion people. I don't care how
Yeah.
big your military is. I don't care how strong you think your gun. There's 8 billion people. If enough of them decide, like, you know what, go screw yourself, you have a
Yeah.
problem. And
Yeah.
that's where I think we're heading as a globe. I don't think it's the
Yes.
utopia everybody would like to think. You know what
And
I mean?
when we know now that 80% of the revenue or the income from, for example, the World Health Organizations are from companies
Right.
and private givers. Uh, and they now, in May, they have this new regulation that is going to get through. I don't know if it's
Right.
happened yet. But then they can control every country over national. So they can say
Yes.
that, let's say, now they're trying again. I'm not saying there was no COVID because there was a lot of sick people.
Right.
But now the COVID is blossoming up again. I just heard on TV yesterday, and
Yes.
people are now, oh, COVID. And it was amazing how people, me as well, we were inside. We were just
Mhm.
locking our doors, and it
Wearing face
might be
masks on the
the
outside, everything.
yeah, but in 2020s, it
Yeah.
might be the biggest hoax in the history.
I don't know. And I
Kind of.
say, I
I don't know. I
kind
don't
of.
know.
And here's why I say I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know what I've read, and I haven't really delved into COVIDs, right? I know we all got shots and we all did this and we all did that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a hoax or if it was, I mean, I know there was COVIDs and people passed away, but I'm not sure to the extent. I know there's some countries like Sweden and other countries where the countries and
Yeah.
Dubai especially, they're like, you don't need to be inside, go out, get a shot,
Yeah.
don't wear a mask, we don't care. And everybody
Yeah.
was fine. It was like our countries. And I think it almost seemed like let's try this experiment if we can keep people inside. And listen, you can't work, so we're going to pay you. And I think where the government then made their mistake is if you want people never to leave their home, then you need to pay them more. And I think
Yeah.
you need to come up with a worst thing. So what's the worst thing now? Now either you have an alien invasion or a nuclear holocaust. I mean, that's kind of where
Yeah.
you're going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go. So it's almost like if you want to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory on COVID, it's almost like it was a dry run for something bigger. You know what I mean? I mean, the
Yeah. Yeah.
governments,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the governments do germ warfare. So all you have to do is get like one person sick with something, let it spread. Oh, and then
Yeah.
we can kill it and stop it. And okay, so we
Yeah.
did, so to speak. So now the question is, so what's next? You know, like there's a guy from the CIA I was listening to the other day, and he says in 2017, something big is going to happen. And they all say something, you know, he's getting great numbers. And in 2028, when nothing happens, then nobody cares. But he says in 2027, something's
Yeah.
going to happen that's going to shock the
Yeah.
world. I'm thinking, dude, unless an alien spaceship the size of like, you know, Texas lands somewhere or is hovering above Earth, nothing shocks these people anymore.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's just everybody's everything's now. Like we talked about this before. When we were all kids, you got the news once a day at 7 o'clock at night, right? You watch the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
news.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, oh, there's
Together
the news. Right.
together with Grandpa and
With everybody. Right.
and we discussed it
Yeah.
afterwards.
And now it's 24. I get alerts on my phone from the Financial Times, the Economist, the Wall Street Journal, the
Yeah.
New York Times, this one. I get alerts here. I've got news on my laptop. I've got news on my iPad. I mean, like I can watch any news station in the world by clicking. So it's not like
Yeah.
you even have time to digest things. The only thing you can do
No.
is watch it and say, okay, this is whatever. So the going to
Yeah.
Davos and going to the people, I think it's going to be very dangerous the next, say, till the end of this decade, depending
Yeah.
on what happens. And I don't think the guys at Davos, I think they thought through it. And I think they're trying to figure out what do we do before it gets worse.
Yeah, but they also are playing. You know, it's a game.
Yes.
I see that, but and sometimes if it's American or European football, you are down
Right.
and the other team is automatically up.
Right.
So it's weight and but sometimes you can take too many risks.
Well, I think that's what the governments are doing now. I think they're
Yeah.
playing a game of risk. And I think that they're going to lose because I think people are getting fed up. I think,
Yeah.
and you get countries, and kudos to the UAE and Qatar. They're trying to make it a utopia. Like, let's give everybody what they need. And the rest of the world's just saying, screw you. You don't have it. So there's certain countries that are trying to make it a utopia. Like you look at Thailand. Thailand's kind of a utopia. It just depends on kind of what utopia you want.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? America used to be like, come here and do this, do that. Now America is not like what it was. America's
No.
getting worse.
Yeah.
And so people are like, America's a great country. I'm like, okay, we used to be a great country. We used to do a lot of great things. Now, not so much. Now it's just like, great. We still have freedom of speech, right? No one's going to come and lock us up for saying what we say. But they do other things. And it's kind of like, okay. So as, we talk about the World Economic Forum and we talk about the EU and Davos and all this stuff, I think the leaders need to pay attention to the little people and not worry so much about their stakeholders and their shareholders, because the little people are the ones you have to worry about because they have nothing to lose. And that's what people keep forgetting. It's the people that have nothing to lose that you need to listen to once in a while, because if enough of them get together,
dangerous.
Right? Because what do they have to? If somebody says when COVID was happening and people were poor and they couldn't get this and that, they went and what did they do? They shoplifted. They would go in a herd of people, go into a store and wipe it out. And they couldn't stop 50 people, and it just happened. So we're proving that, that if you're desperate, you'll do stuff. And there's enough desperate people out there where you can just get together with 50 people or 30 people or whatever, and you can go do it.
Yeah.
No one's going to stop you. Even the police don't want to stop you, because the police don't want to get, now they're worried about getting sued. They're worried about getting this. So it's like,
especially in your country.
In my country, yeah. So that's the whole thing. It's like they go up against the Nazis, and the Nazis have better weapons than the police. And they're just like, it's not worth it for 40,000 or 50,000 or whatever they get a year. So
I just have to say I admire. Well, I'm going to Spain for a holiday this year as well, and the Spanish farmers, for example,
right.
The Spanish unions, they are so strong, it's unbelievable. They are really into things. They are, if the government is saying this or that, and it's no, we don't deal with that. Then people are meeting up, and they are spraying houses with shit and they are not afraid, but they are so many people, and they are stopping the highways. They are doing blockades.
But you have to also remember that part of Europe, Spain, Portugal, that whole area, they still remember World War II.
Yes.
Like there's people there. So there's a different mentality there where, remember, America, we don't remember the World War because it didn't happen here. It happened everywhere else. And no one's, as far as I know, is alive from 1776 that can say, listen, or 1863 when we did the Civil Wars, right? So no one's alive from when we had war here. So because you have no one alive that remembers that, it's sort of like everything here is like, la, 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 la. The difference is in Europe or in Asia where the wars took place, there's people that remember it, whether they're children or adults or whatever they are now. They remember that. So when they see something, they're like, oh no, this is not good. And so their, oh no, this is not good is a much different, oh no, this is not good than someone in America go, oh, this is not good. Okay. Like nobody can go, oh yeah, do you remember in 19 blah, 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 blah? No,
Yeah.
they don't, because it didn't happen here. It happened somewhere else. But in Spain or Portugal, where they have Ferdinand Marcos, not Ferdinand Marcos, Cisco, whatever his name was the
Yeah,
Spanish
yeah,
king
yeah,
until
yeah,
the late
yeah.
70s when he passed. They remember the dictatorships. They remember,
Yes.
like people that were kids are alive today go, oh, we remember that. So when something happens
Yeah.
there and they want to protest, they protest. Whether it's right or wrong, we're not discussing. But they protest because they remember what that leads to. In America,
Yes.
we only know, or what we think we know, is freedom. So we can't. What are we protesting? We're protesting what? Oh, some stupid thing at a university? No. So that's the
No.
bigger issue. It's like we don't have a memory. We have a very short history of nothing.
Yeah.
We went to the moon. Okay. Yay.
Yeah.
We got some
Okay.
we got civil
Yeah.
rights. Okay. We got women the right to vote. Okay. We go back and forth on abortion. Okay. We have an
Yeah.
election that's screwed up. Okay. But we've never had for a blood in the street. I mean, we've had riots. No big deal. You burn a city down, whatever. But it hasn't been
Yeah.
nationwide. It's in a certain area. We've never had, 200 years ago type thing. We've never had in anybody's lifetime today, like a war in the streets
No,
here, where
I
10 or
see.
20 years from now, people would be like, do you remember? Do you remember what happened in 2024? The war and the this and the death and the death, where people are like, oh yeah, we can't let that happen. So that's unfortunate, and I guess fortunate. But if people don't start like knowing history and taking an interest in history elsewhere, when it happens here, you can't blame it on anybody other than the politicians that act like they're five. The people are
But
just getting fed up.
when I was a kid, there was always a storytelling time.
Yes.
And where my fathers, my uncles, there were always, and it was okay, more than okay. It was the meaning that
Mhm.
the kids were there.
Yes.
Because then we could ask them also questions.
Right.
So we were. It was kind of the hard school,
Right.
as they told how it really was
Back in the day.
back in the days, and
Right.
what they were told of their grandfathers
Right.
and so on. So it's kind of in the blood, but they don't know. They don't do that any longer.
Well, there's no family anymore. Nobody
No.
not everybody. No, but think about it. When I was a kid, we all had dinner together at say 6 or 7 o'clock at night. My mom, my dad, and I, we would have dinner together. And
Yeah.
then when you talk to families, goes, when do you eat? And it's like, oh man, like their kids eat at 3 or 4 or 7 or 8. The mom eats here, the dad eats there. So no one has dinner time together. And when they meet, they're all on their friggin' phones looking at TikTok and all this other shit. I'm like, hey, talk. The rule when I go to dinner is, unless it's a business dinner, if it's just a group of guys with cigars and scotch, or if it's dinner, family, whatever, the rule is your phone is either in your breast pocket or face down on the table. Face down, not up, face down on the table, and we talk. If someone picks up their phone, it better be life or death. Not like you don't know what time it is. I have a watch. You can ask, or buy a watch if you need to.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what watches are for. But not I mean a real watch, not these stupid watches. Very much
I was just
dinner or lunch or breakfast that's what it is. It's not for you to look at your phone. If you want to look at your phone, then you don't need to go to dinner, lunch, or breakfast with us. Like I don't need to. Now, if it's business and we're doing a deal, then everybody can have their phone up. And if you look at your phone, it better be regarding that deal or a deal you're doing, not that your kid's like, I don't care. So there's rules I have. And some people will go, well, I can't go. Then I'm like, then you don't have to go to lunch or dinner or breakfast with me. I don't care. I'm going to go to dinner or lunch with you because I want to engage in a dialogue. I want to, we're going to talk.
Yes.
I'm not worried about, I don't need you to show me what's on Instagram. And I know what's on Instagram and YouTube. We run an entertainment company. I've got 900 people showing me shit all day. I don't care. That's their jobs. When I'm out with somebody, I want my attention with that somebody. That's why when I get on an airplane, and attention spans are short. And let me just finish with this, if I may. When I get on an airplane, everybody's on their phone and they're looking and they're reading. And when I get on a plane, the first thing I do is I shut my phone off and I put it in my breast pocket. I don't care. It's whether I'm taking a 1-hour flight or, as you know, I
Yeah.
fly halfway around the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care. If nothing is that important, where I am going to fix something. I'm not sorry. I'm not fixing world hunger. I'm not curing cancer or any other disease. There's nothing you're going to tell me that on my phone when I'm in the air that I can do. And God forbid somebody dies. It's not like I can go to the front of the plane and go to the pilot. Can you turn the plane around? So whatever it is, we'll wait till I land. And that is the other issue. People think they're that important, and they're not.
But things are changing so fast these days.
Mhm.
It's enormously, because when I was out, when I was running business, I was multiple time a week. I was in an airport somewhere,
Right.
and then I loved it because people are waiting or in a hurry.
Right.
The people who are waiting, I go right to them, as long as they don't seems like they are in the Red Khmer or something, you know.
Right.
And I just talk to them, and they have spare time. They're waiting for the plane. God damn it, they don't. And we talk, and we okay, let's go and get the beer on the
Club level. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last times I've been out flying, they don't respond because they are
In their phone.
having those fucking phones or tablets.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go over, and I'm very out speaking, you know, like
Right.
you see my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our crazy uncle, yes. So,
Yeah, I'm half of that, and that's that's enough for me. But it's today people are looking at you as you are you crazy? Why are you talking to me?
I know. Oh, I know. And that's my whole point. We're losing the art of conversation.
Yes.
And that's a problem. And because we don't communicate, and because everybody gets offended over everything, you can no longer have a dialogue with somebody because, there's a trigger. We said this on one of the other shows. I could give a rat's ass about your trigger words, your feelings, or anything else. If we're talking, we're talking. And you know what? People exchange ideas, and you may not agree with it, and that's fine. Or someone may say something that you find offensive, then just shut up and just let it go. Everybody says something. Listen, if I was offended every time somebody spoke to me, I would never leave my house. But I don't care. And I think that goes back to what we always speak about is parenting, how you're brought up, and society today. I pity the people that don't understand that, listen, you've got to have a pair of balls to go out in this world, whether you're male or female. And if you don't have balls, then good luck. And I think that's a bigger issue, and that's a whole nother show, but that's where we're at, unfortunately.
And
so
today, it's not accepted to have enemies. I have enemies.
You have enemies?
It's
we
not
don't like.
Like in politics, for example. I'm in some meetings, not for a very long time, but I'm emotional and 4% Italian, so so sometimes I can say inside of me, you fucking because the meaning, I respect the meanings, of course, but they are going right opposite, and then it's normal to feel. If you don't feel things, then why should you be in politics if you're not fighting for something? So then I'm thinking, I don't want to ever speak with that woman or guy again or whatever,
But that's the best part about life. You can do that. If I don't like you, I don't have to go to dinner with you.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I don't have to do stuff with you. I don't have to be everybody's friend. And I say that to people. I'm like, I don't need 1,000, 10,000, 50 million best friends. I just need a handful of close ones, and everyone else is an acquaintance. And listen, to our 75,000 plus subscribers, I am sure they don't want to be my best friend. I'm sure they like our shows, and they like you, and they like all the other people that are on all our shows, and they enjoy the dialogue. But I don't think any of them are like, we should go to dinner with these guys. It's like,
No.
it's okay. You don't have to want to go to dinner with us, right? If you like someone, you like them. If you don't, you don't. And what people also don't understand, if you don't like someone or you don't like what you're watching, turn it off. If you're offended, turn it off. It's an amazing thing. It's called an off and on switch. Turn the fucking thing off. And people don't, and they don't get that. And I'm like, how stupid are you? So when people tell me they're offended by something, I'm like, what are you offended by? And they'll tell me, I'm like, you could have gotten up out of the movie. You could have left. You could have left the conversation. You could have turned it off. So you being offended doesn't really do anything. When people tell me they're offended by something somebody said, I'm like, yeah, I don't really, that means nothing to me. What did they say to you? What's the worst thing they said to you? Or they'll say, well, they made a joke about, really? That offended you. You're offended for somebody you don't even know. That's ridiculous. That's the problem is that we're growing up a bunch of pansies. And that's why when it comes down to true grit, the real, getting nasty and getting dirty and doing business and blah, 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 blah. People can't do that anymore because you can go, I don't like something.
People don't trust themselves any longer. I'm old enough now to say that, okay, I have confidence. I always had, I fell up, I drank too much confidence use when I was little. I don't know. But I'm not stupid. I like to have this confidence, yes, but always, as our friend Adam says, that it has to be not too much of this and not, you have to. You have to pendle it.
But people don't know how to do that anymore. That's the problem.
But that's living.
People don't live.
But so many people today are not living. They're zombies.
Well, yeah, because they're they're stuck on their screen. When I'm done doing our shows, when we record our shows and I'm done, and then the only thing I have to read if I have to read agreements or we have to be on the screen, I'm away from my screen, away from my phone. I do not care. That is not where I live. I am out actually doing stuff. Now if I have to read an agreement or if I have to have a Zoom call, different story. But for the most part, this is all business. All these screens for us is just business. And when I don't have to be in front of it, I like outside. I like going outside with my scotch and cigar or my cigars and going for a walk and just being like shutting off. It's like I say to people, I work out in the morning for a reason because there's no phone, there's no music, it's just me. It's like clear your head, and people don't want to do anything. And then when they run with music. I used to do that. That's cool. But then sometimes I'd run with I was like, just clear your head, get away from it all. And they don't because they're all afraid they're going to miss something. Trust me, you will not miss anything. We live in a society with a 24/7 news cycle and they repeat everything 9 million times. It's okay to shut it off. And I don't think anybody realizes that. It's okay to say no. It's okay to go, I don't like that. It's okay to go, I don't want to go do that because. But everybody's like, oh, no, that's enough. And that's the biggest problem there is.
I have a friend who became a psychologist.
Okay.
And long time ago, but suddenly I met this guy and we sat down and I don't drink coffee, but I drank something else. Just talking, trying to catch up. And he told me, I don't know, but some people are very, they want to tell me things.
Right.
I don't know why. Especially Even is good at that. People are opening very. And this guy told me he was a psychologist, but he had to seek help. He went regularly to another psychologist. Come on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's the same as, but he had an answer on it. Even doctors get sick. Makes a bit sense.
It doesn't.
No?
It doesn't. I'm sorry. I'm too old school. I'm too old world. I just like, man the fuck up. That's all I can say. It's like enough. Well, when we were kids and had problems, we didn't go to a psychologist. You told your friend, you told us. Nowadays, if I have a problem, I talk to my dog. My dog gives me the
Yeah.
answers I want to hear. She kisses my face, and everything's gonna be. I say, I'll go to my dog's name is Dakota. I'll go Dakota, and I'll tell her any issue I have. And when it's all said and done, she comes over, she gives me a big kiss, and it's all better. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need someone to actually tell me anything. I already know what the issues are. I know how to fix them. I just need to vent. So who do I vent to? I vent to the dog for two reasons. One, she's never going to tell anybody because she's a dog. And two,
But
I know
then you
she'll just
have,
give me a
yeah,
kiss.
then you have to have the ability to know yourself.
So well, I know myself.
From the bottom to
Yeah,
of course,
true.
not everything you know, because suddenly things can
Right.
you know, but in like in basics, you have to know and trust your own instincts.
Correct.
And be there,
And yep.
be
Be in the
there,
moment. Right.
be
You have
in
to
the
be in the moment.
moment.
Right. People don't trust their own stuff anymore because they've never had the
Yeah.
chance to. Remember when we were kids, I still say, you know, there was a television commercial that would come on at 10 o'clock and it goes, 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? And the parents are like, no, we don't know where our kids are. They'll be home when the lights come on. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like we
Yeah.
rode bikes, we drank out of hoses.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we did all.
W-
Nowadays, it's
with
like, don't
without
do that.
helmets.
Without helmets, we'd climb trees, we'd fall down, we would do this, we'd come home scratched and nicked and whatever. And our parents would be like, get the Bactine out or the iodine, right? Like pour it on you, and then you're fine. And that was it. And today it's like,
Yeah.
where's little Johnny, little Mary? Oh, are you kidding? I was walking to school when I was 6. Nowadays, they don't let kids do anything until they're like, 15, 16. They're afraid someone's going to
Yeah.
abduct them.
It's
And
crazy.
I'm assuming that has changed. But when I was a kid,
Yeah.
we all walked to school, we all rode bikes, we all fell, we all scraped,
Yeah.
we all did,
Yeah.
and it made
Same.
you know who you were. Nowadays, I don't
Yeah.
think kids know who they are because they don't get to live. Like
Yeah.
great, you take your kid on a trip around the world, but that's not living. You're still with your parents. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like when we were kids, we would go ride 10, 15, 20 miles away from home on our bike and we'd had enough money for like a lunch or a soda. And then we'd be like, oh, it's like 3 PM. Should probably head home. And we'd schlep all the way home. Your parents would be like, where'd you go? And be like, oh, well, we went here and we did this. They'd be like, oh, okay. They didn't really
Yeah.
care. They would just ask where you
No.
were.
Yeah.
Right?
Like a courtesy. They just.
Like, oh, you're alive. I come home, the street lights would be on, and I'd finally come home, and my mom and dad be like, oh, you're home. I'm like, yeah, I was with so and so. Okay, that's great. No big deal. Yeah, like whatever.
But we are dinosaurs.
Yes, and I like it. I'm okay with
but
that.
yeah, I'm okay with that too. But dinosaurs are going to disappear. So
at some point, yes, the old school guys will disappear, and these young school kids will come back and watch our videos and go, "What's that?"
I know every generation from the cavemen until now are said the same. I think they will grow up eventually, but not this time, maybe, because
No, this time I think we're doomed. I think we've matured.
Things have happened the last 30, 40, 50 years, 100 years then, that much faster than 1,000 years.
Yeah, I think
I
think we've evolved to a point where you had the old school ways, and then probably, let's say in the 1980s, things started to shift. And then in the 90s, it shifted again. And now in the 2000s, it's going downhill. Technology is not going downhill. Technology is doing great, but society now is going downhill. No one has respect. No one has this. I just watched a thing about 2 senators or Congress people yelling at each other in the United States House of Representatives. Something like that has never happened. You know what I mean? It's like we are going downhill. It's great about the technology, but it's making us impersonal. Where before we were personable, and now we're not, and that is a problem.
I'm watching. I'm trying to get all the. I see them afterward. If not, I think Adam you and Adam's show are very good because
Thanks.
you
Come on.
yeah, I know, but no, but you're playing kind of, you know,
Yeah.
and even if hello Adam, thinks he's right all the time,
Right.
he's not like everyone else, but
Right.
at least he has an opinion, a meaning, and it's
Yep.
you can hear it from the bottom
The
of
heart.
the lungs that
Yeah.
he means it, and
Yes.
that's the thing. The same with you, and then you go say, "No, I don't think so. No, you're too." You know,
All right.
it makes a conversation. If not,
Which is good.
we could be alone.
Yeah.
I remember I had to take a show alone.
Yes, I remember that. Rachel came on at some point and helped you out. Yeah.
She helped me. Oh my
Yes, I
God.
remember that. I remember.
Because you're ending up with a monologue where you're talking to yourself and you're running fast out of, because you don't see. I like to speak when it's television, radio, stuff
Right.
like that, or a lot of people. I'm not afraid of taking the word.
The good
You
thing
know,
is that this show is a lot of people see it, so they love you. So there you go.
yeah, but I just love it. I can't help it.
That's good though.
Yeah, but if you see something, for example, something is wrong,
Right.
then I'm standing up.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree with that.
standing up and just say, hey, for example, a mother who was shaking her poor little
Baby, yeah.
child, who,
Yeah.
because of the marketing, they have all the chocolate and blah blah in the end of, you know.
All right.
you know all about
I
that.
remember.
And
Sure.
and she said, "Oh, mommy, I want to." You don't want to know nothing. And the children began to cry, and she was shaking this poor little
But see,
girl.
that's different than when we were kids. If we would go, Mommy, I want chocolate, and my mom said no, that was it. It was no.
Yeah,
We didn't cry.
that
We didn't
was
do it
it.
because we also knew as a kid back in the day that if you acted up in a store, they'd slap you in the store, and not only did you get a slap across the face of your tush, but then everybody around would applaud that the parent actually did that. They'd be like, "Oh, you disciplined your child. Very good." Nowadays, you do that to
Or
call child services.
or you just got the eye, as I said.
Oh, that was the worst.
It was enough with my mother. She just gave me an eye, and I, you know, speaking without words are,
Yes, that's even worse.
yeah.
That's too
So
funny. Well, my
no,
friend, we're at that time, so we have to say goodbye to
yeah,
all our fans. So everybody, we will
yeah,
be back next Wednesday as well as on Friday morning for the rebroadcast. Don't miss Ad Hoc. Next week, I think our merry band of nuts will be here. I know I'll be here. Morton will be here. Maybe the crazy uncle.
yeah,
We can only hope for the best. Maybe
yeah.
Adam. And so we will be
And
back. Don't
and
forget to
also
subscribe and like.
maybe the saxophonist know
Oh,
what
the
you're saying.
saxophonist will be on. Yeah, that'll be cool. So yeah, so we got some of that going on. So yeah, so don't forget to subscribe and like, and give us your comments below. If you want to be a guest on Ad Hoc and you think you have something of interest, well, sure, come on, why not? Can't hurt.
Yeah,
So Morton, it's always a pleasure, my friend. I will see you. Whatchamacallit.
yeah.
Don't forget,
Okay, thank you
don't
so
forget to
much,
subscribe and
and
like.
take care, people,
Take care
and speak.
and speak and get off your phones. Cheers after you watch our show, of course. Cheers.